Yes, I know exactly how stupid it sounds, and that's how you should know it's true. Helgen is gone, burnt to the ground, by a dragon. I saw it with my own 2 eyes, and you could too if you just stepped outside, faced south, and walked for 2 hours. Go ahead, I'll wait. Faendal crossed his arms, threw himself back in his chair, and gave Embry a stern look. Fine, elf, tell your story, I guess, Embry says, exasperated as he stares blankly at the bottom of his empty mug. Well, I was tracking a fox south of here. You know their pelts. Yeah, you won't shut up about how their pelts fetch 25 gold apiece. Get on with it. There was still no mead in his mug, but Embry insisted on trying to find some anyway. Well, this one led me on a chase, down through the winding paths toward Helgen. Then I heard it, a sound so loud it could only have been thunder, but it sounded like a roar, and then all was black for a split second as the wind rushed by me. I looked up and there it was, a giant black-winged lizard spewing fire on everything below it. Arrows and firebolts flew past as the Legion did its best, but it was useless. The thing was invincible. But that wasn't even the craziest part. I suddenly became aware of a well-muscled steed not 10 paces to my left. The rider was clad in steel so polished, I almost couldn't see him in the glare of the sun and the flame. Both he and his beast were oblivious to my presence, as they were totally fixated on the dragon. Faendal seemed to become energized at finally having found an audience. Now, I'm not exaggerating when I say this was the most frightening scene I have ever witnessed, let alone ever even imagined. The very trees seemed to be withering in fear from this demonic worm. Yet, the look in the armored rider's eyes, it was the same look I'd give a fox right before I loosed my arrow his way. Legionnaires, townsfolk, and prisoners alike all spilled from Helgen's walls, running for their lives, yet the rider beside me resolutely gripped the hilt of his mace, and his steed pawed the ground in front of him. And in a second they were off like a bolt, running into the very inferno that everyone else was fleeing from. The thundering of the hooves were just as loud as the lizard's roars. Faendal paused momentarily to take a sip of mead. Embry was finally caught up in the tale, but couldn't help but glance longingly at Faendal's full tankard. The rider disappeared behind the wall of flames, and all was silent, but the crackling of the fire. Then suddenly a terrifying shriek, like the cry of a dying wolf, rung out across the trees and the mountains, and the dragon flew off to the north, as fast as his wings would take him. I tell you, Embry. Faendal wiped the sweat and mead from his upper lip, as his gaze grew distant. The dragon was fleeing the armored rider, just as the fox flees the hunter.
Sigrid, we have company.
Hadvar, we've been so worried about you. Come, you two must be hungry. Sit down and I'll get you something to eat.
Now then, boy, what's the big mystery? What are you doing here looking like you lost an argument with a cave bear?
I don't know where to start. You know I was assigned to General Tullius' guard. We were stopped in Helgen when we were attacked by a dragon.
A dragon? That's ridiculous. You aren't drunk, are you, boy?
Husband, let him tell his story.
Not much more to tell. This dragon flew over and just wrecked the whole place. Mass confusion. I don't know if anyone else got out alive. I doubt I'd made it out myself if not for my friend here. I need to get back to Solitude and let them know what's happened. I thought you could help us out. Food, supplies, a place to stay.
Of course. Any friend of Hadvar's is a friend of mine. I'm glad to help however I can. Like I said, I'm glad to help in any way I can. But I need your help. We need your help.
Okay, so we're not going to take anything from Alvor, but he does insist that we have a drink with him, just as a guest and for helping his nephew. So, we shall take some hunting brew mead.
The Jarl needs to know if there's a dragon on the loose. Riverwood is defenseless. We need to get word to Jarl Balgruuf in Whiterun to send whatever soldiers he can. If you'll do that for me, I'll be in your debt.
No debt necessary. I can do that for you. How do I get to Whiterun from here, though?
Cross the river and then head north. You'll see it just past the falls. When you get to Whiterun, just keep going up. When you get to the top of the hill, you're at Dragon's Reach, the Jarl's palace.
Okay, sounds simple enough. Is there anything that I should know about the Jarl before I talk to him?
Jarl Balgruuf, he rules Whiterun Hold. A good man, perhaps a bit overcautious, but these are dangerous times.
Understood.
So far, he's managed to stay out of the war. I'm afraid it can't last, though.
Interesting. Does he favor one side over the other?
I don't think he likes either Ulfric or Elisif much. Who can blame him? But I've no doubt he'll prove loyal to the Empire in the end. He's no traitor.
Okay, that's fair. So you support the Empire then?
Of course. Skyrim has always been part of the Empire. That doesn't mean I support everything the Empire's been doing lately.
That's fair.
Lords have never been fair-weather friends.
Okay. I like that answer. So who's Elisif?
Ah, I forget you're new to Skyrim. Jarl Elisif, I should say. Although only because she was married to Jarl Torrig when he was murdered. Ulfric murdered Torrig, you know. Walked right into his palace in Solitude and killed him. Shouted him to death, if you believe the stories. That's what started this whole war. The Empire couldn't ignore that. Once the Jarls start killing each other, we're back to the bad old days.
What do you think about the war?
People are rightly stirred up about the damn Thalmor being allowed to roam around arresting people, just for worshipping Talos. But was it worth tearing Skyrim apart and maybe destroying the Empire? No. Ulfric will have a lot to answer for in the end. Nords have always supported the Empire, and the Empire has always been good for Skyrim.
Okay, so Alvor and Blodius seem to share almost identical sensibilities when it comes to the Empire and the war and Talos worship. Sounds like he has a little more disdain for the Stormcloaks than Blodius does. But I think with our commonalities, we have a fast and good friend with Alvor that we can count on in the future if we ever need to. So yes, Blodius will agree to book it to Whiterun and get there as fast as he can to get the Jarl to send aid back to Riverwood in the form of guards, just in case there is a dragon that attacks. There was one in Helgen, burnt the whole place to the ground. I see no reason why that dragon couldn't do the same, or another dragon, if there are more than one, could do the same with Riverwood here.
Well, I'd better get back to work. You two make yourselves at home.
It's nice to be back in a friendly spot, huh? Listen, I'm going to lay up here for a while. You can make your own way to Solitude from here. I'd recommend heading to Whiterun, just down the road from here. From there you can take a carriage to Solitude.
Okay, not a bad idea. So do you really think I should join the Imperial Legion? You think I have what it takes?
Of course. I know today wasn't the best introduction to the Legion, but I hope you'll give us another chance. The Legion could really use someone like you, especially now. And if the rebels have themselves a dragon, General Tullius is the only one who can stop them.
So you think General Tullius knows where that dragon came from?
No, not yet. After all, a dragon, something out of old tales and legends. No one could have expected that. But you can bet he'll be trying to figure it out. This could shift the whole balance of the war. If you want to help stop that dragon, your best bet is to go to Solitude and join up with the Legion.
Well, I gotta say, you make a good case, and I tend to agree with you. That's the idea that I had before I even came to this place, so I think I'll head to Solitude as soon as I get a chance here.
I hope so. The Legion is Skyrim's only hope right now. Come on, we better get moving.
You lost?
He better get moving to the cooking pot over there. He must be really hungry. Well, I know I'm hungry. Stomach was growling there. We're going to go ahead and drink the haunting brew that Alvor gave us. Go ahead and get filled up. Some bread, fruit, and chicken, and top off our water supply here. Okay. So it sounds like what we're doing here is we are going to make a beeline for Whiterun, which is just north of here, according to Alvor's directions. We got to cross the river and head north. And then we're going to talk to the Jarl, try to convince him that there is a dragon threat here to Riverwood, which is completely unprotected. Get them to send some guards here just in case, and then from there we will head over to Solitude to join the Legion. So let's not waste any time, shall we? Oh, jeez. I've been playing some Horizon Zero Dawn on PS4. And the game is just similar enough to Skyrim that I keep trying to use the button configuration for Horizon. And in that game, mounting a horse or a machine, in that case, is the Y button or the triangle button on a PS4 controller. So you might see me jump a few times trying to get on to Marion here. Wow, this place is really beautiful, isn't it? Alright. Looks like we have... some furry fiends here. Where's that one going? Okay, interesting. Oh, there's a spider. Alright, where is that guy coming from? All the way over there, huh? Okay, Blodius doesn't have really any way to... hit ranged enemies. He doesn't really have any ranged weaponry. He has a couple of illusion spells, Calm, Fear, and Courage, I think. And we're just going to have to suspend our oh, there's the wolf is back. We're going to have to suspend our disbelief when we swim across any kind of creek or river in our plate armor here. Yeah, Blodius has no ranged weaponry. He only has the illusion spells, which can reach. But those probably weren't going to do us any good in that situation, I don't think. A fear spell might have stopped the spider from attacking us for a little bit, but not really what we were going for. Plus, with Blodius's protective nature, I don't think that he would leave a deadly animal like that just on the side of the road to attack whoever came by. Okay, looks like we have some sort of detachment of legionnaires here and a prisoner of some sort. Probably a stormcloak. We'll leave them to their business. Skyrim really is beautiful, isn't it? Both to Blodius, because he hasn't seen this kind of landscape before, or this kind of architecture, except for what he's seen in Bruma, which is close. But to me also, man, even coming from Horizon, which is much newer of a game than Skyrim is, just running at 60 frames per second all the time, and all the graphical mods that have been released for this game since the time it's been out, this more than holds up to newer games for sure. Ooh, what's going on here? Ooh, what kind of creature is this?
You handle yourself well. You could make for a decent shield, brother.
Shield brother, what is that?
An outsider, eh? Never heard of the Companions? An order of warriors. We are brothers and sisters in honor. And we show up to solve problems if the coin is good enough.
The coin? You do it for the coin? Well, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. Are you taking on members?
Not for me to say. You'll have to talk to Codlac Whitemane up in Jorvaskar. The old man's got a good sense for people. He can look in your eyes and tell your worth. If you go to him, good luck.
So Blodius has had dealings with the Fighters Guild in Bruma. He finds them to be an honorable lot, even though they do accept coin for the work that they do. Blodius, he doesn't feel great about mercenary work, except that it's the right thing to do for the wrong reasons in his mind. Accepting coin for mercenary work is a bit seems dishonorable to him, but there is honor in the work sometimes. If mercenary work is doing good for the hold and the people, he's all about it. He's done mercenary work in the past. He's done bounty work in the past. He usually tries to not accept payment for the work that he does, but a lot of times people just insist. So he knows that there's honor to be had in mercenary work, and especially respected guilds such as the Companions. And he knows that the Nords are all about honor, and the Nords love their companions, so he might join up at some point. I don't see a problem with that. Also, Blodius is a bit shocked at the terrain here. Bruma is a heavily forested, very cold and icy area in terms of climate and landscape. Here in Whiterun is a bit different. When he thought of Skyrim, he did not think of vast plains like this. And being able to see for miles without his view being obstructed by a large tree or a large icy mountain. And not seeing snow all over the ground is a bit surprising to him too. So it turns out that Skyrim is a bit more diverse than he expected. It is harsh. He can still feel the sort of icy sting of the cold wind on his skin and on his face. But there's a lot more beauty and diversity in life here than he expected.
Halt. City's closed with the dragons about. Official business only.
Okay, so Blodius is a talker. We will be using some stuff in the speech tree, and we have actually in his backstory. So we'll use the persuade option when we can, I believe. Oh, I just lost my controller there for some reason. That was odd. Okay. I just replaced the batteries in it too, so it's full. I don't know what happened there.
Fine. But we'll be keeping an eye on you.
So we'll be using the persuade option most of the time that it's available. Okay, so we need to see the Jarl pretty much as quickly as possible here.
We'll pay whatever it takes, but we must have more swords for the Imperial soldiers.
I just can't fill an order that size on my own. Why don't you swallow that stubborn pride of yours and ask Yorland Greymane for help?
I'd sooner bend my knee to Ulfric's Stormcloak. Besides, Greymane would never make steel for the Legion.
Have it your way. I'll take the job, but don't expect a miracle.
So this person seems like a ranking official in the Legion. Let's talk to him.
Greymane or Battleborn?
What?
Got stones in your ears? I asked what side you're on. Greymane or Battleborn?
I'm sorry, I just really don't know what you're asking.
New in town, huh? Whiterun's got two clans, both old and both respected. Difference is, the Greymanes turned their backs on the Empire, and we Battleborn stayed loyal. So I'll ask again, Greymane or Battleborn?
Well, I have to say that I think the Legion is in the right here. Lesser of two evils looking forward, I'm afraid.
Then I say, well met, friend. I could tell you were a sharp one the moment I laid eyes on you. Long live the Empire.
Okay, so there seems to be a fair bit of tribalism here. Probably not just in Whiterun here, but in the entire province of Skyrim as a whole. Blodius doesn't necessarily share that staunch this or that perspective. He does tend to try to see things in black and white, right or wrong. But in terms of the Stormcloaks and how he or his experience with them in Bruma, he doesn't necessarily see them as evil villains or anything. Okay, so where is this Jarl going to be located? Probably in a large palace, not one of these houses. That's got to be it up there, huh? Oh, by the way, I forgot about an introduction. Oops.
But we can't afford it.
It took me weeks to find that thieves' den. I can't stop now, and I can't get the sword on my own.
So you're willing to starve your wife and daughter to reclaim some rusty old sword?
I just need to hire one, maybe two good men. You won't starve.
I'll put it plainly. You can claim your sword, or you can keep your wife. If you set foot outside that gate, I won't be here when you return.
Okay, so Blodius would normally feel compelled to help someone in Amren's situation, but he's got a bit of a hyper focus on helping Riverwood right now, and rightly, because they're in the most danger. But yeah, I forgot my introduction. So welcome back to my Character Crusade Unbound Season 3 Let's Play, featuring Blodius, Vigilis, the Blue Sentry. And that introduction that you saw at the very beginning of this video was my submission for the homework 2 for the sort of second segment of the Unbound Season 3 project. I think that live stream has been delayed by at least a week. Stu is having trouble with a pinched nerve in his shoulder and can't seem to sit at a computer for very long without experiencing pain. So I feel for the guy, and I totally understand him having to cancel or delay the stream. No big deal. Hope he gets better. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep going on with this Let's Play. Yeah, so that submission was supposed to be a vignette that sort of portrays our character's heroic place in this world and this story. And keeping with the theme of NPC third-party reports or stories, leading to the legendary status of this hero, I went with a conversation between Faendal and Embry at the Sleeping Giant Inn in Riverwood. Faendal had witnessed Blodius running into Helgen from the last episode to chase the dragon and try to save anybody, and he embellished a bit in his story, as you have heard. But that's kind of how my homework submissions are going to go for this season and this Let's Play, I believe. Alright, so here we are at the palace. We need to get in there and let the Jarl know what's going on in Riverwood.
Heard they're reforming the Dawn Guard. Vampire hunters or something. In the old fort near Riften.
Oh, I didn't see that guy.
I'd consider joining up myself.
Dawn Guard, vampire hunters. That might be something that Blodius is into at some point, but he's got bigger fish to fry at the moment, at least in his mind. Oh. I mean you no harm.
What's the meaning of this interruption? Jarl Balgrup is not receiving visitors.
It's a nice blade. Alvor sent me. Riverwood is in danger.
As House Carl, my job is to deal with all dangers that threaten the Jarl or his people. So you have my attention. Now explain yourself.
Well, a dragon... I know how stupid this sounds, but a dragon has destroyed Helgen.
You know about Helgen? The Jarl will want to speak to you personally. Approach.
You know about Helgen? I thought that just happened. News travels fast.
By a dragon. One of those horrors comes here. We'll be ready.
I hope so. Hello, Jarl.
Oh, you were at Helgen. You saw this dragon with your own eyes?
Yes, it seems that the Imperials were about to execute Ulfric, Stormcloak, and then the dragon swooped in and destroyed Helgen.
I should have guessed Ulfric would be mixed up in this. What do you say now, Proventus? Shall we continue to trust in the strength of our walls against the dragon?
My lord, we should send troops to Riverwood at once. It's in the most immediate danger. If that dragon is lurking in the mountains...
The Jarl of Falkreath will view that as a provocation. He'll assume we're preparing to join Ulfric's side and attack him.
You can't not protect people because of that.
I'll not stand idly by while the dragon burns my hold and slaughters my people.
Thank you.
Irileth, send a detachment to Riverwood at once.
Yes, my Jarl.
If you'll excuse me, I'll return to my duties.
That would be best. Well done. You sought me out on your own initiative. You've done Whiterun a service, and I won't forget it. Here, take this as a small token of my esteem. There is another thing you could do for me. Suitable for someone of your particular talents, perhaps. Come, let's go find Farengar, my court wizard. He's been looking into a matter related to these dragons and rumors of dragons.
Certainly, my Jarl.
Farengar, I think I found someone who can help you with your dragon project. Go ahead and fill him in with all the details.
So the Jarl thinks you can be of use to me. Oh yes, he must be referring to my research into the dragons. Yes, I could use someone to fetch something for me. Well, when I say fetch, I really mean delve into a dangerous ruin in search of an ancient stone tablet that may or may not actually be there.
So what does this have to do with the dragons? A stone tablet?
Ah, no mere brute mercenary, but a thinker. Perhaps even a scholar? You see, when the stories of dragons began to circulate, many dismissed them as mere fantasies, rumors, impossibilities. One sure mark of a fool is to dismiss anything that falls outside his experience as being impossible. But I began to search for information about dragons. Where had they gone all those years ago? And where were they coming from?
So what was it that you needed me to do?
I learned of a certain stone tablet said to be housed in Bleak Falls Barrow. A dragon stone, said to contain a map of dragon burial sites. Go to Bleak Falls Barrow, find this tablet, no doubt interred in the main chamber, and bring it to me. Simplicity itself.
Okay, is there anything you can tell me about, this barrow?
An old tomb, built by the ancient Nords, perhaps dating back to the Dragon War itself. Ah, maybe you just want to know how to get there. It's near Riverwood, a miserable little village a few miles south of here. I'm sure some of the locals can point you in the right direction once you get there.
Well, I didn't think it was miserable. I thought it was quite delightful, but I guess to each their own. How did you come about this knowledge?
Well, must preserve some professional secrets, mustn't we? I have my sources. Reliable sources.
Fair enough, I suppose. Have you encountered any dragons?
Sadly, no. My work affords me few opportunities for such an adventure. Perhaps some hero will bring one to Dragon's Reach, like old Olaf one I once did. What a fascinating conversation that would be.
Indeed. Of course I don't really,
This is a priority now. Anything we can use to fight this dragon, or dragons, we need it quickly, before it's too late.
Of course, Jarl Balgruf. You seem to have found me an able assistant. I'm sure he will prove most useful.
Succeed at this, and you'll be rewarded. Whiterun will be in your debt.
of course, I'll do what I can. I was gonna say, when Blodius thinks of dragons, he doesn't necessarily think of conversations. But that's alright, that guy seems a little bit detached from reality, and more so attached to his books. Okay, so at this point, Blodius is...
Brigands I can handle, but this talk of dragons? World's gone mad, I say.
Given a sort of a choice of what he can do. He can head back toward Riverwood and try to find the stone tablet that Farengar was mentioning. That can give some information about how to fight these dragons. Or we can head to Solitude, which was our initial goal. And I think Blodius's one of his primary character traits being stubborn, as determined for this season of Unbound, he's going to hold to that path. I think he thinks at this point that General Tullius and the Legion are still the best hope against dragons, as Hadvar has said. And I think he thinks at this point right now that some stone tablet from some dusty old tomb is not going to help us as much as an entire legion of soldiers.
Just us against the dragon? Is that it?
I can't afford to send anyone else. And we don't know where the dragon is. Your main job will be to keep an eye out and get the people to safety if the town is attacked. I don't expect the three of you to fight off the dragon by yourselves, but I do expect you to do your duty.
Of course. We'll keep Riverwood safe. You can count on it. Let's move out. Time to waste.
Okay, good. So it looks like Riverwood is getting the aid that they've called for, which is excellent. That was our first priority. Okay, so we have 4 p.m. We might be able to make a carriage ride over to Solitude. Or we might be able to get there on horseback before dark falls. I am running a slower time scale. I think I'm running it at about 8. So I think it's feasible that we can take Marion and skip the carriage ride to Solitude. Although that's what Hadvar recommended. So yeah, Blodius, he's still feeling the sting of Adius's arrest, and sort of promise for torture at the Blue River prison by the Thalmor. So he's still going to be pretty hyper-focused on joining the Legion and doing what he can to restore unity within Skyrim, to sort of squash the Stormcloak rebellion, in order for the Legion to be able to focus on the Thalmor. I would say that that's still his primary focus, even though the dragons here possess a new threat, and he feels a bit of an odd responsibility. I guess it's not so odd, thinking of his protective nature anyway, that he would want to do something about this, especially in light of the fact that it had already destroyed an entire city here in Skyrim, and he wants to prevent that from happening again to another city. He feels a strange compulsion, almost in his blood, in his soul, internally, that he feels like his fate is somehow tied to that dragon from Helgen. He can't explain it, but he feels it, and it's strong. Regardless, at this point, he's not going to pursue the main quest, because he still thinks that the Legion is both Skyrim's best bet for dealing with the Thalmor and the rest of Tamriel, as well as dealing with the dragons. So we're still going to head there. And I think that this would be a good point to stop this episode. Not a whole lot of combat, not a whole lot of action. It was mostly just some dialogue, some transitional story here, and just setting up the path of Blodius for the next episode or two. So we shall see what happens. I'm still flying by the seat of my pants here, trying to make decisions based on character personality, character traits, and his positive negative value pairs for each segment. And this is what I think Blodius would do in this situation. So you're not seeing any kind of predefined script here or anything. This is Blodius playing out his story as organically as possible. So yeah, I think that's it for this episode. We'll see you next time on our way to Solitude. Until then, take care and see you later.